You know what I was going to do today? I was going to sit down and talk about Sonic Adventure 2 and determine whether or not it was better than Sonic Adventure. But my plans were completely derailed and I am not happy. All of a sudden, my beloved cellular telephone would no longer charge. I spent hours deep into the night trying to figure out what was wrong with the poor thing, but unfortunately I was not able to fix it. On this very morning, I took my phone to a repair shop for a diagnosis. Apparently, its charging port is damaged and it will need to be replaced. And I have some things to say. First of all, how the hell does a charging port suddenly get damaged? This wasn't an issue yesterday. What changed during that amount of time? Second of all, what do you mean it costs $180 to have it replaced? You're taking out little bits of metal and swapping them out for other little bits of metal. You're not smelting down the crown jewels for this. It's a phone being repaired by one person. Why am I paying so much for this? Am I the only one who thinks this is unreasonable? What kind of American healthcare system bullshit is this? As I sit here writing this script, my technological companion that normally sits in my left pocket is being taken care of at the repair shop, and while the place has stunning reviews online, I still can't help but worry for its safety. This must be what it's like when parents drop their kids off at school. The amount of trust I'm forced to put in a stranger to look after something that's honestly more valuable than a child is, frankly, overwhelming. I'm currently in possession of a temporary replacement phone they gave me, on which they will contact me to let me know when my phone is feeling better. It has a pink cover with this weird sliding knob on the back that extends out what looks like a wristband that reads, "I want personality, not trivial," which feels like an incomplete sentence. I've been thinking about it and I just do not know what it means. I'm now anxiously awaiting a response on this burner phone from the lovely young lady who's taking care of mine, but I'm not doing much good just sitting here waiting with my thumb at my ass, so I may as well get something done. Let's see if I can't talk about Sonic Adventure 2 before I get my phone back. The first Sonic Adventure was a game I'd never actually beaten before I reviewed it, and there was a good reason for that. It was a good game, but it was also a bit sloppy. Its biggest strength was its killer soundtrack, but that's not enough to carry a game. An album, maybe, but not a game. The only part of the game that I thought was worth playing was Sonic's story and maybe Knuckles' story, since they were both fun playable characters. The rest of the playable characters weren't great. The levels were usually fun, but they were a bit generic in places, and the hub world especially really dragged things out for no good reason. Sonic Adventure was a decent game, but I don't think it's one I'll be revisiting. Sonic Adventure 2, though, is a game I have beaten before. It has been a long time since I played it, but I remember liking it. At least, I remember liking it to the point where I was willing to beat the game. Which is kind of a low bar, to be honest, but take your wins where you can. Since I remember liking it more than the first Sonic Adventure, I'm curious to see if my memory is right and that I do like it more despite the passage of time. Is Sonic Adventure 2 better than Sonic Adventure? I mean, it feels like I've already decided, but let's put that decision to the test. Let's rock, baby! In a similar fashion to how the first Sonic Adventure prompts you to pick a playable character's story to follow, Sonic Adventure 2 prompts you to select from one of two stories, Hero and Dark. We're going to start with Hero, a category of people who include Superman, Robin Hood, and the nice lady who's fixing my phone at the moment. The game begins with what is undoubtedly one of the most iconic openings and opening levels in all of video game history. Even people who don't play Sonic have seen this somewhere, I guarantee it. And we're straight into the action with City Escape. Playing this level immediately took me back to when I played this game the first time. I remember thinking it was very over-the-top, cheesy and outrageous, and after experiencing it again, I can definitely say that that's true. Sonic with his energetic skater bro attitude escaping the military, the high-octane gameplay of smashing up the streets of wherever the hell this is supposed to be, climaxing in a ridiculous chase against an enormous truck. It's the sort of thing 8-year-old boys would have watched on TV back in the day. Looking at it, it does look very similar to the first Sonic Adventure, and it sounds similar as well. They have very similar styles of presentation, which makes sense, since one is the direct sequel to the other. I do think this game looks better though, it's the same, just more refined. And the character animations don't look quite as awful. The hero story follows the story of our heroes, Sonic, Tails and Knuckles. And also Amy, but she doesn't really do anything in this game besides harass Sonic, so she's not important. We obviously just started with Sonic. As the main character of the game, you'd hope that he's fun to play as, and he is. He's actually really similar to how he plays in the first Sonic Adventure. He's the fastest character, naturally, and his levels are all about blasting through quick platforming sections as fast as possible. Sometimes the first Sonic Adventure would struggle to keep up with his speed, and he would occasionally be too fast for certain sections to actually work properly, causing him to be thrown off course. Much like how my day was thrown off course by my phone's charging port being damaged, forcing me to get it repaired, something that I had not planned for. Sonic is really fun to play as, and while the physics in his homing attack can be a bit fucky and not work properly sometimes, it is generally pretty consistent. And he has some pretty cool levels. Crazy Gadget in particular was a fun one because it messes around with gravity, as if the physics weren't wonky enough already. The next character you take control of is Knuckles, and unlike Sonic, he doesn't chuckle. I'm pretty sure I said that last time. Knuckles I really enjoyed playing as in Sonic Adventure. Rather than his goal being to reach the end of a level, Knuckles was instead tasked with finding 3 pieces of the Master Emerald in a sort of scavenger hunt, fitting of his status as a treasure hunter. It's very much the same deal here. In fact, I'd say it's even better, because Knuckles' levels are quite a bit bigger and better organised. Some, like Aquatic Mine, even have cool gimmicks like switches that raise or lower the water level. The only thing I don't understand though, is the little emerald radar at the bottom of the screen. In Sonic Adventure, all 3 radars would be active at the same time, so you'd be able to detect and collect the emeralds in any order. In this game, only 1 radar is active at a time. This means it will only let you know if there's an emerald piece nearby, if it corresponds to the radar that's currently active. This means that you might be right near an emerald, there might be one right under your nose, but you'll never know because that emerald isn't the one the game is looking for. You don't have to collect them in the order the game wants you to. If you spot an emerald somehow, you can just go and grab it, but that's hard to do since they're often hiding in the ground or in walls, or even inside enemies, so it's just easier to follow the radar. Despite that though, I really like Knuckles' levels. They are the most rewarding ones to complete, especially when you manage to decipher a hint that out of context feels very useless. Almost as useless as a phone that doesn't charge anymore because the charging port is damaged. And finally, Tails. Rather than doing what he did last time, he's instead taken to piloting a mech. In this, he is the least mobile and definitely the slowest of the 3, but he's still fun to play as. Like Sonic, Tails' goal is simply to reach the end of a linear level, but the main difference is the way he goes about it. Tails' mech is a war machine, able to shoot homing and non-homing shots in pretty much any direction. He goes around shooting and destroying anything that moves, and anything that doesn't move. Nothing screams Miles Tails Prower like war crimes. I was going to make a different joke involving a very specific reference to current events, but I decided against it. You know when you have those thoughts and you just have to stop yourself and be like, no, don't even go there. You don't need to add something like that to your plate, you already have a phone with a damaged charging port to worry about. I do like playing as Tails. Of the 3, he is my least favourite simply because he's the least mobile, and mobility is kind of a big deal in platformers, but you do feel powerful when you just blast through everything in your way. And also, it's something different. In the first Sonic Adventure, Tails was just Sonic with the ability to fly. Here, he has his own entirely distinct playstyle. It makes him feel unique amongst a cast of brightly coloured, googly-eyed cartoon animals. Unfortunately, I do have to contradict what I just said because after beating the hero story, we can then move on to the dark story. This tells the other side of the story and begins with you playing as Dr. Eggman, Ivo Robotnik himself. It's really cool getting to play as the main bad guy. I love seeing games do that, even if sometimes the game would have been better off if they didn't. Eggman does not have a unique playstyle though, instead he shares one with Tails. Their mechs are different shapes and sizes, but they pilot them the same way. And it's still fun when you do it as Eggman. I'm not bashing this game for recycling playstyles. These playstyles are good, by all means, include more of them. The other 2 characters you play as in the Dark Story are Shadow and Rouge. Shadow replicates Sonic's gameplay, they're identical as well, but I like Shadow more simply because he has rocket skate shoes. I'd love to have a pair of those, that'd be great. It'd be like owning a phone that doesn't have a damaged charging port. Rouge takes on Knuckles' gameplay. She doesn't have anything special about her aside from an actual logical reason for being able to fly. I still have no idea how Knuckles does it. I do like Rouge's levels a bit more than Knuckles though, simply because I vibe with the music a lot more. Not to take away from the rest of the game's music, it's all great, but I like Rouge's the best. Throughout each side of the story, your trio of characters will also find power-ups to either enhance their abilities or grant them new ones. Giving the hedgehogs the ability to bounce, giving the treasure hunters the ability to dig, giving the mechs the ability to hover, they're all very useful abilities that add to what was already pretty good gameplay. The power-ups take what's there and upgrade it in great ways. Like taking a phone with a charging port that's damaged and upgrading it into a phone with a charging port that isn't damaged. That's amazing! You're always learning new stuff, so you never get sick of playing as any of these characters. I mean, driving cars isn't exactly fun, they're quite boring levels gameplay-wise and they don't even look good. Rouge's car looks like a dick. It also drives like a dick as well. I couldn't figure out how to properly turn and make all those sharp corners. But at least those levels don't stick around for too long. In my humble opinion, this is a much better way of doing multiple playable characters who each have a different perspective on the same story. The first Sonic Adventure told one story from 6 different perspectives. It was a bit much and not really worth the effort when you know that 2 of the 6 playable characters are complete dogshit. Sonic Adventure 2 takes a more coherent approach. Even though this game also has 6 playable characters, they're in teams of 3, so you only see the story from 2 perspectives. I think this works so much better for two reasons. Number one, you're not locked to a single playable character for the whole story perspective. Sometimes you want that if a playable character is good, but if they're not, you don't want to take it all on at once, you'd rather have it sporadically. Sonic Adventure 2 rotates the three characters in their respective stories, so you have a little bit of everything without being stuck with that character for too long. You're kept on your toes and you're less likely to get bored. Number two, it just makes the story easier to follow. When you've got 6 different perspectives of the same story going on at once, it can be quite messy. It's much easier to lose track of what's going on because you're trying to figure out when certain things are happening in relation to what's going on in other perspectives. There are also more opportunities for inconsistencies and blunders. So much can and sometimes does go wrong with this approach. You just sort of lose interest, especially when one of the storylines doesn't really seem like it has anything to do with anything. Sonic Adventure 2 only includes the 2 perspectives, making it much easier to follow. It's more coherent, and because this game doesn't have any hub world bullshit, there's no faffing about. It's go go go. I just find it a lot less cluttered, I guess. That said, I don't think splitting the story into Hero and Dark is the best approach. It does feel a little bit disjointed still, a lot like how the components in my phone's charging port are disjointed, causing it to not work anymore. I would have liked to see them try to incorporate both perspectives of the story at once, almost like you alternate between the 2 perspectives as you go so you can see the whole picture without having to essentially hear the story twice. Just an idea. I do think Sonic Adventure 2's approach is better than the first one though. It's ready, my phone is ready, I can go get it, fuck this game and fuck this video, this is my top priority. So, I got my phone back, they called me on my burner so I walked down to the repair shop. I do have a car, so I could have driven, but I sort of forgot that I know how to drive a car, so I just walked instead. The phone chargers now, we're operating at full power. They even threw in 2 free chargers, which is pretty neat. They seem high quality. They're the ones that have like the ropes instead of the cables, so that's pretty cool. Happy with that for me. It's wild that you can just pay people to do things for you. Like, I didn't have to fix this myself. I just paid for someone else to do it. This must be how like billionaires feel. What a power trip. I'm glad about how things turned out. The phone does smell like paint. I'm not sure if that was part of the process or if the nice lady just had painty hands that day. She was a person of color, but there is a chance that she could have been faking it, and maybe it was blackface, and some of the body paint made its way into my phone. But I don't think that's very likely. It was a little odd, but overall, I'm happy with the service. Thank you, nice lady at the phone repair shop. Anyway, where was I? Ah yes, the story. I wasn't 100% on board with them splitting the story into Hero and Dark, but I do like how they handled the finale. The last story is unlocked once you beat both the Hero and Dark stories, and in it, all the playable characters and also Amy come together to stop the Space Colony Ark from crashing into the Earth. This game's story is certainly better than Sonic Adventure. I like it more. It's about Dr. Eggman finding the ultimate life form, Shadow, and using his power in addition to the Ark, which is a giant space weapon, to take over the world. Rouge teams up with them, but is actually a double agent working for the government. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are all trying to stop Eggman from destroying the world in the same way that he destroyed half the moon. But at the climax of the story, there's a twist. Eggman's grandfather, who I believe built the Ark and the Ultimate Life Form, wanted revenge for the loss of his granddaughter Maria, so he rigged the Ark to fall out of space and crash into the Earth, supposedly wiping out humanity. Now, that's a pretty cool twist, but I'm sorry, there's no way the Space Colony Ark is big enough to wipe out humanity. Look at it, look at how tiny it is. It's not even heading towards land, it's heading towards the ocean. At most, it's just going to make a big splash. I'm no physicist, but I'm pretty sure there's no genuine threat here. Still, I do like that at this moment, the 2 teams, Hero and Dark, set their differences aside to team up and stop the Ark from somehow destroying the world. The final level, Cannon's Core, was great, as it made use of all the playable characters, barring Shadow, who fights this disgusting lizard thing. The very end of this game is kind of disturbing because the aforementioned disgusting lizard thing literally shoves the Ark up its arse, and Sonic and Shadow end up wanking off invisible dicks to become Super Sonic and Super Shadow and kill the lizard with the space colony shaped dildo. Maybe a better finale would have been to go super and smash the Ark into tiny pieces before it crashes into the Earth, like the end of Bayonetta? Just a thought. I still like the story in this game though, better than Sonic Adventures at least. And finally, there's the Chow Garden. I know people froth at the mouth over this part of the game. It's kind of like Nintendogs, where you have these pets that you take care of, train, and participate in minigames with, and it's a neat little side thing. but I personally don't really care much for it. It's not something I would invest a lot of time into. What you're seeing here is the chows I was raising the first time I played this game, because the garden save data carries over, I guess. I don't really get why people love it as much as they do. Like, yeah, it sounds cool to raise your chow and condition it to have a certain appearance and set of traits and stuff like that, aiming for your perfect species or whatever. And if that's what you're into, go for it, but, you know, that's not too far off what Hitler was trying to do, so yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, I liked Sonic Adventure 2. I thought it was pretty good. It's not my favourite Sonic game. I mean, how could I claim that when there are so many good ones to choose from? But I do think it is better than the first Sonic Adventure in pretty much every way. It looks better, it sounds better, it has a better story, it has better levels, it has better gameplay. It's just better. I'm not trying to say Sonic Adventure was bad, but Sonic Adventure 2 did a pretty good job of ironing out the kinks and making it work. More so than the first one. So to answer the question, is Sonic Adventure 2 better than Sonic Adventure? Drumroll please! Fine, I'll do it, lazy bastard. The answer is... yes! I thought so then, and I think so now. Anyway, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to see if I can't find my phone some kind of suit of armor. I'm not having this debacle happen again, no siree.